Hello, I welcome you to my little bitless crypt. Halloween is riddled with recurring themes, naturally, commonly regarded as festivities. Things you see so often, your mind is trained to expect it. Clichés? Sure, but such things are needed. So, I present to you a mishmash of all the spooky stuff, highlighting gaming's greatest takes on horror staples. The basic idea will light up more as we go on. Roll it. This is quite an ironic principle, but often it's a smart choice to follow in the best steps. So the best way to beat them? Copy them. Doppelgangers, evil clones, are an iconic media practice, mirroring the famous face to the polar opposite extremes, and almost always winding up as the top threat. Is it lazy? Pfft, who cares? It's badass. So many of these exist, they can warrant a whole project all their own. But I defy you to look away from Dark Samus. Nope, you can't do it. As what is essentially living Phazon, Dark Samus poses as the malignant driving force behind the entire Prime trilogy. Originating as a supreme Metroid specimen, it lived on after coming into contact with Samus herself as an abnormally evolved specimen in her shape. Of course, copying Samus into a Phazon-charged alien results in a Death Star on legs. Not only is this thing powerful, but it's also smart, omnipresent, and heartless. It exists only to ruin Samus. It terrorizes whole planets and her close affiliates just for the sake of tarnishing her mind and physical state. Symbolized by the entirety of Prime 3's narrative, it's clear that this Metroid's more than just a powerful foe. It's the evil Samus can very well become, to the point where it's not a possibility, but a certainty. Possibly the greatest shard of symbolism any evil copy can be given. Can only imagine the King's Dark Zero suit would have. You know, there's a reason why the phrase, "what the fuck?" exists. Some things are just so abstract to us that even intelligent responses can't do anything. Putting the blame on those who freak out about it is pointless, as it's a primal emotion of ours. The feeling of mystery is perhaps the most hexing of all our sensibilities, because not knowing a lot about something that feels wrong is true horror. Perhaps the scariest thing ever. It's like that old phrase, what you don't see is scarier than what you do. You could call it subtlety, but I feel enigma is a better word. When a figure is likened as such, that's when you've got a cryptid in your backyard. Our culture's got a ton of them, like Bigfoot, Nessie, and Half-Life 3. You all know them because they fascinate our kind, whether real or not. Arguably the most famous of all video game cryptids. Ever feel as though you're not alone? Now, I don't even play Minecraft, but the voices spoken by this mysterious figure echo beyond gameplay. Although not an official creation by Mojang, or so they say, it's clear that something creepy lies under all the blocks in Minecraft. On top of having a name that may as well be from haunted folklore, Herobrine is purely an enigma. Rumor went around that this alternate skin of Steve was in fact the deceased brother of Notch, the head of Minecraft. Though oddly, he insists he has no brother, dead or not. Under the mindset of, I didn't create it, so it can't exist. Right. Guys who read deeper into the coding claim that this figure is nowhere to be found in the data, so of course he's not real. Well, rock solid. You have to tell the world Jesus isn't real? You must be quite the catch at parties. Mirroring our most famous cryptids, Herobrine is subject to many sketchy sightings and reports from all over the community about a pupilless face that follows you everywhere, simply to spy on you. Or perhaps another reason, which is very different from most real-world cryptids. We don't ever find him, but rather he always finds us. It's a ghoulish feeling. Do I believe in Herobrine? I accept the idea of unanswerable questions. We can't know everything, so acting like we do isn't going to solve any mystery. I enjoy an eerie phenomenon, be it a figment of our disturbed imagination or a full-on hoax. It's creeped the shit out of millions. Way to shit on a good story, dipstick. Being someone that's not strictly abided by religious views, one might think that I can't understand or believe in the supernal side of life. I can honestly tell you that I very much do. Personally, I think it's wonderful how others can spare a little faith into something else. Doesn't make them idiots, it's just another form of love and loyalty. To many people, nothing is more frightening than an antagonist to their own faith. For religious humans, those evils are demons. There's not really all that much to them, really. Pure power and pure evil. It's not very deep, but terrifying all the same. Video games very rarely step beyond this boundary, but those whom do, leave quite the shock. but the one I have to show has scarred a great many of us. Majora. The face of evil. Something only the most terrified of souls can see. But for whatever frightful face you may have seen, it's been masked by something even uglier. Deemed as Majora by the ancient ones, this heartless being is among the most depraved antagonists in all media. It's easy to figure that Skull Kid's fancy facewear is merely an insignia. There's no way a mask could be doing all this horrible shit, right? Wrong. The lonely troublemaker is merely a puppet for this devil's cataclysmic cravings. There's really not much to the being of Majora, and that's what makes it really scary. It's inhuman, devoid of all those little flaws called emotions that humanoid villains will always have, which essentially wipes out any anomalies in its path to success. It's commonly believed that Majora enjoys destruction, but that's simply not true. It can't feel enjoyment in the heartless things that it does. It just does it. It doesn't personally attempt to hex Link because it simply can't care. It's as if Majora is the very machination of evil. It was created for such a thing, and relentlessly does so as if it were fate. Something impossible to sway, only stoppable through an even greater power. And for a being that can possess the moon, you're gonna need a seriously shiny triangle to stop it. You know, I never got why people like this next one. Zombies. Those reanimated corpses that pose as nothing but inhuman organ connoisseurs. They move either slow or fast, often moaning repetitively, and all they were created for was to eat your brain, or liver, or whatever important thing. Suppose it could have been a creative thing once upon a time, but zombies have since been rectified as an overly cliche dodge to try and simulate something scary. I've seen so many motherfucking zombie movies, games, and TV shows, I've gotten completely sick of these shitheads. They've never really scared me past the moment where everybody screams, "Oh my god, zombie!" Yes, they're a horror classic, but I still care not for them. And even though that's true, I still gotta pick a type of gaming zombie. Ugh. Oh, hi Valve. Speaking of being watched beyond control, Gaben's famed internet punchline still got some sitting time. Not like that matters, just wanted to tease you a bit. If you've ever played any of the Half-Life games, you've probably seen one of these buggers. Headcrabs. Hate these little shits. They're generally pretty easy on their own, but they can form into an abnormal family gathering. One thing you gotta remember, headcrabs aren't just aliens. They're parasites. So it's their destiny to find them a host to ruin eventually. And their carefully selective process of doing such a thing is actually good horror film material. When a headcrab finds you, they pull full Diddy Kong and pounce on your face, latching themselves onto it like one of those face huggers. Then, I assume you're robbed of your own will, subject to the headcrab's desire. That makes you a headcrab zombie. What actually makes this scary is that the human isn't dead, and probably not alive in the traditional sense. The poor people are stuck in limbo. Their torso is blown open with exposed guts. You'd probably bet on him being dead. But no, they can still be heard screaming for help. Oh god, I need a cuddle. Insects and spiders. These two types of animals have been played up to sheer insanity. People make horror movies about them. Many paint them similar to the serpent, just another symbol of Satan's ugly as shit face. Well, I personally love them. Thus, I call bugs and spiders by their festive title. Creepy crawlies. Around Halloween time especially, these little creepers find their way into media like wildfire. Plenty to be seen. But heed my words. The king of all the creepy crawlies demands the utmost respect. So jump back in fear and run like hell. The Titan cometh. Oh man, got some major B-movie chills coming in. Pikmin's got a ton of hexing enemies all over, like the various arachnorms or the goddamn water wraith. But somehow, I've always admired the Dweevil family. Most of them aren't threatening, but I found their sporting of the elements really cool. So you can only imagine how giddy this shit-headed B-film junkie was to see the final boss of Pikmin 2. Nothing but take a good look at this monster. Coal black coloration, machine-like armor plating, green green LED styled eyes. It also happens to be a giant elemental Swiss army junker. Following the behavior of its tiny subjects, the Titan Dweeb will play pack rat while poking around a military weapons keep. Granted him the most lethal firepower of all Pikmin creatures. The short-ranged flare cannon, long-range monster pump, toxic comedy bomb, and the lethal one-hit kill shock therapist. Supreme danger! And that's just crazy right there. All the hazards on one single boss. One fuck up can cause a fatal mistake. This is the kind of creature that belongs in B-movies. Sort of like the ambassador for monstrous spiders. And its theme can make a lowly person bow. Titan Dweebo! God damn, that's such a cool name. Time for a Halloween classic. It isn't too hard to spot it, as you can set up a stupid jump-off scene like this. A girl answered a math problem. Witch! She wanteth civilian rights. Witch! She's pissed off. Witch! She wants to kill the commentator. Witch! Ha! Not my face, toots. So yeah, the etymology of witches is quite complex, calling women out for just being fucking weird. At times, it probably wasn't sorceress activity being displayed. They were merely nonconformists getting yelled at and persecuted because of that. Witches are culturally defined as women with magical abilities, often using them for wicked shit. And since I'm not thinking with my wang, there's only one definite choice here. As if there could be a better gaming witch. Don't even play around. Grunty from the Banjo games is a perfect, albeit typical, case of witches, lying before all the cliches. She's abnormally shaped, rides a broomstick, talks into a pot, is generally considered evil, and like me, a green-faced cackling bitch of a chatterbox. Yet this Duffus hog breath skank poses as the comedy centerpiece of Banjo-Kazooie. Always there taking shots at Banjo, and is the starring role in Brentilda's disgusting recaps of Memory Lane. Baked beans? Despite this, she still asserts her role as main villain exceptionally well, putting up one hell of a great fight at the end, and has since remained an omnipresent basis for all the following storylines. She may as well be right on Bowser's tail ready to fling, because this bitch never throws in the towel, even continuing to butt heads with the bear and bird as a living skeleton, and to the point where she's nothing but a fucking head. Gotta show some respect though. She's always there to spare a clever rhyme and one hell of a good time. Don't ever stop grunting, you bony crone. What's the October time without ghosts? Those dearly departed souls of previously existing figures. Be it through spite or perhaps an upcoming phase of all our lives, ghosts are often left lingering in our world as paranormal beings with unclear motives. I like to think of them as merely another form of us. They can be bad, they can be good, and most others tend to focus down the bad. One way or another though, the idea of ghosts is a classic thing indeed. Whether or not they truly exist in this way, it's certain we have some supernatural guests among us. Suppose that's a way of saying, I'm a believer! The choices for this one are everywhere, and I've even made a list of them a long time ago. Though, for the sake of being a good sport, I'll award this spot to perhaps the most deserving. There's a reason why they say boo. I could not, my Furies. If I'm to be a stick, I ain't spending my time in the mud. I may find Tim Curry Ghost a more formidable paranormal foe, but this is an instance where iconic status takes full priority. I don't think I've ever seen more catering to a Mario bogey quite like what these guys get. Boos are such a serious staple that their importance is right up there with even the Koopas. Ever since their Mario 3 debut, we've seen the little ghosties make it big, acting as both a common enemy type and having been given unique character roles, strangifying it up all the way to Little Bunny Boo Boo. What makes the Boos special among ghosts, and very different from the other enemy groups, is their incredibly broad taxonomy. Since they're ghosts, it's a prime time deal for creating some truly memorable variants. Boos have around 36 unique subspecies in total, and they're one of the few enemy types to deviate from the crowd loyalty. Plenty of them keep to themselves in reclusive families, or serve as formidable minions to two independent rulers, Bowser and the king of their kind. Just like Goombas and Koopas rival Mario, the Boos rival Luigi in just the same way. And not even he can stop them. They just keep on coming, returning year after year, doing what Boos do. Whatever the hell they please. I am Ghost. Hear me. Boo. With all the hubbubby fear of abstract, creative terrors beyond ration flooding the psyche, it's easy to forget just how scary non-imaginary monsters can be. We reluctantly coincide with animals of all kinds, some generally harmless and likable. Others are the basis for more than a quarter of the horror film genre. While often said to be low in quality, features about Earth's creatures very much exist. Sharks, octopi, most reptiles, animals with the power to kill or eat us. Things like Pokemon and Sonic use them for lighthearted, creative characters, but I'm looking more in the direction of predators by instinct. I say fuck the subtlety for a good 3 hours. No foreplay, saying good morning! Monster Hunter try? Yeah. Eat the candy, not me! Oh god. There's no monster under my bed, cause it's up in my face. Being half of the fucking name, Monster Hunter would be dead without, well, monsters. The flagship icon of the third game, HEADCRAB, is quite the beastie. How do I sum it up? Zekrom and Smog made some sweet love at the base of a really expensive 3D printer. Yep, that's right. 3 basic things to HEADCRAB that make it one of the most feared creatures in the game. 1. Everybody living in the village talks about it, making the build-up painfully strong. 2. It's powerful as shit, especially underwater. And 3. It genuinely looks fearsome. Don't go telling me you didn't shit your pants when he showed up in the second quest of the game. What the hell? It's like trying to fight the final boss at level 2. You're welcome, CJ. And you don't fight him just once. Oh no, you see him several times throughout the game. Also, there's his variants, Ivory and Abyssal. Basically Landlord HEADCRAB and borderline Elder Dragon. Pretty scary stuff. Still my favorite monster. Also, for fuck's sake, stop calling him HEADCRAB. What kind of respect is that gonna give? If there's one thing our kind has, in general, obsessed highly over for centuries, is the realm of space. Whether by their inner child seeking to go infinity and beyond, or just our basic curiosity kicking in again, we're always gonna have those kooks with their heads far into the stars. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't one of those kooks. Figuratively, space is akin to our own Earth. Even though we could answer a few short quizzes on it, we're likely never to know every little single thing about it. It's filled with mystery, beauty, and unknown dangers. When space comes to mind, a lot of us think of aliens. And then we run the hell for cover. Gaming's got plenty of great choices. But I'd be serving myself one hell of an injustice if I overlooked the most undermined alien force of the last decade.
Abaroid, Abaroid, Abaroid.
My god. Easily one of the most lethal enemy forces ever surfaced, the Abaroids. It was either going to be this or the Metroids. But based on fear factor alone, these cretins stung much harder. Abaroids pose as an immensely powerful alien race on the far edge of Lilat. While sticking to one stereotyped motive, they make up for it in bulk for their advanced biology and sheer ambiguity. They bear a similar build and appearance to that of dark-hued insectoids, acting in unison as one massive super colony ruled by an omnipotent queen. Their innermost properties are unlike any other creature. Their cells can violently overtake the life of both organisms and technology, flawlessly assimilating both in the same way as a virus would. They're both a biological pathogen and a computer virus at the same time. Doc's head would explode if he heard this. Now, although they act like insects, it's clear that they can defy instincts based on what the queen has to say. More evolved specimens showcase a large deal of intelligence, where they can manipulate other entities to spread chaos in their favor. They don't kill the victim. They horribly disfigure them with viral coding and have them physically and mentally bait and torment their own friends. They nearly mangle the Star Fox team and Fox's psyche. The queen even uses Peppy's and James's voice to fuck with him. That's messed up. It's disappointing that they never appeared in any other games, because it's easily the most creative, most dangerous alien race I've ever seen. They deserve their own horror movie. Happy Halloween, folks!